Right, before we start, some common ground rules, right? Because I'm standing here with a pretty massive imposter syndrome and really nervous about stuff. So, can we agree on a couple of things? Like, if you agree with what I say, nod politely. If you hear something insightful, then nod vigorously. And if this is all old news for you, and you hear something that you already know, nod. If you disagree with something I say, do so quietly, so that I... Not that way, please. Right? So be kind to the presenter. I'm new at this, right? So, who here is human? Who identifies as human? Cool. Who works with humans? Yeah, more or less. Good. So this talk is for you. So a word of warning, right? Kind of expectation management. This talk is about human behavior. In the context of IT security, there's very little actual IT security involved. There's actually very little IT at all involved. So if you want to leave now, do so discreetly. Okay? It's going to be kind of a bird's eye view of human behavior from the kind of a bird that swooshes very close to the surface of a lake and things go whooshing by very quickly. I've got 30 minutes and 30-ish slides. So the whole point of this talk is sort of to try to convince you that IT security is not just about IT, right? For most, we'll always have humans involved, either as regular end users, but also as sysadmins like us. So security will always be about humans. The security guru, Bruce Schneier, said, if you think technology can solve your computer problems, then you don't understand the problems and you don't understand the technology. These are pretty bleak words, but I promise you there'll be more. I hope I have a bit of your attention. So, hi folks, I'm Robin. Robin Laureen. If you have a hard time pronouncing my family name, just say Robin and that's fine. I've been fiddling with computers since I was a kid. In my teenage years, I had this PC box, an MS-DOS box, that was connected to the Fido net, which was something that existed before the internet became feasible for people like me. During those days, I was arrogant. There was a user forum for sysops of these boxes at the time, and the name of that one, loosely translated to slightly polite English, would be "Oh damn you, stupid user," because users tend to do stupid things and make our lives hard. Eventually, I started studying at the university where I came in contact with something called usability. And that was eye-opening because suddenly the idea was to create stuff that actual people want to use. And the user isn't stupid. The user has tasks that are different from your tasks. And eventually I started to read about security and usable security. And the arrogance slowly faded away, especially after starting at Reaktor, where we actually think about people all the time. So, as a sysadmin, I don't work as a sysadmin because I like computers. I actually don't even work as a sysadmin because I like to work with computers. I'm a sysadmin because I like success. And it's not my personal success, it's sort of, I'm enabling people to do great things. Like, so the coders can churn out great stuff, and designers can design and do useful and beautiful user interfaces. And maybe somehow somebody's world will be just a bit better. So that's the kind of success. My job, as I see it, is to make my colleagues happy. Actually, quick Finnish lesson. We don't talk about colleagues. They're like native Finnish words for almost everything. So a colleague would be a työkaveri, which stands for workmate, work chum, work pal. So we have workmates in Finland. I mean, the idea is that a happy worker is a productive worker. They stay at work. That's cool. Except that's not exactly how I see it. To make a human productive and happy, you need a whole lot of moving parts. For a human to be happy at work or at life in general, but in this context in life, you need safety, right? Both physical safety and emotional safety. Safety is like the manifestation of security. You need to have trust with the people at the company, for your peers. They need to trust you. It's a mutual thing. Your work needs to somehow be meaningful. You need to feel a connection, a belonging to the folks at work. All these things, you can read them over there. My job specifically, I think, relates to the capability. So I'm creating a tool out of technology so that my workmate can do their work. I try to act in a way, or actually I try to be in a way that I'm trustworthy, and I'm trusting my colleague, and I'm giving them a place so it's safe at work. Let's face it, humans are weird. We do things that aren't always in our best interest. Those that were at the pub last night, they probably have an idea. We do things that don't always seem quite rational. We heard the word lazy many times today already. We are lazy by nature. We're emotional, we're social creatures, we're creatures of habit. Now we heard about good laziness, bad laziness, and here comes the laziness sort of nature. By laziness, I mean it's in the strict Newtonian sense. According to the first two laws, Newton's first two laws of motion, a body at rest will stay at rest unless pushed. Okay? So we irrational humans, we respond to the laws of physics. And if I have time, if I don't talk too much, I might even have time to get into how humans relate to Newton's laws about thermodynamics later on. So as humans, we experience much of our surroundings through emotions. And we tend to be nice to people who are nice to us and part of our group. So that's the social bit. And humans are complex, right? Computers, they're digital. So that means they're finitely complex. Humans, by contrast, are analog. So by definitions, humans are infinitely complex. Now, as IT people and engineers and stuff, we tend to sort of glaze over and get a weird looks when we talk about things that are infinitely complex. Nothing can be infinitely complex. So we model things and try to simplify them. And given the 30 minutes I have, I'm going to model things as well. Now, as you remember, all models are wrong, but some models are useful. So let's try to find some useful models. The first thing to accept about being a human being is that you are not so smart. The first time I heard this, I felt a little bit hurt, like intimidated. Like, who are you to say that I'm not so smart? But the more I thought about this, the more liberating it felt. All right, I'm a human. I don't have to be completely smart. I don't have to be Lieutenant Commander Data or Spock, who always does the rational thing. So that's actually a relief. What does that mean? Humans have two modes of thinking, roughly, right? The immediate and automatic, the reactive thinking, and then the considered reflective thinking. Now, since thinking is an expensive process to the brain, we tend to substitute complex thinking with heuristics, with fast thinking, with shortcuts. Like, if I'm asked, should I invest in Tesla? I'm probably not going to think about all the moving parts of how are they maybe going to do or something. I'm making a shortcut. Do I like Tesla cars? Yes, they're cool. Do I like Elon Musk? Maybe. We'll leave that to the pub. So this model was introduced by Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman in his book Thinking, Fast and Slow. It's an excellent book. If you haven't read it, you should read it. If you have read it, read it again. Now, because Danny Kahneman is a scientist, he coined these terms System 1 thinking and System 2 thinking. Not like immediate and reflective thinking, but we'll give it to him. Now, as humans, because we don't always think at our full System 2 capacity, we can be fooled, we can be scammed. And scams tend to work in such a way that they don't wake up our critical thinking. So either a scam can be so subtle that it just feels normal, or then a scam can raise our emotions, which stops our rational thinking. It clouds our judgment, and we get a message that something needs to happen now, and we get fooled. Sometimes, of course, we do this willingly when we go to see a movie or a magic show. That's different. But in our normal lives, we tend to be scammed in a predictable manner. So it's easy. It's good actually to excuse yourself. In the words of Brian Brushwood, who's an illusionist, magician, professional scammer and anti-scammer, he said, "We don't get fooled because we're stupid. We get fooled because we're human." Now, you know, all these phishing messages, they say, do something now, or we're running out of whatever, or bad things are going to happen. These are very powerful things to turn off your rational thinking. Urgency, fear. Like, they were good 20,000 years ago when we walked in the marshlands and there was some sounds in the bush next to you and a big saber-toothed squirrel jumps at you and may kill you. But these days, our brains don't really, their way of reacting don't really apply to today's world. But really, evolutionary speaking, it's been just a blip. Maybe in 10,000 years, we're able to think about things more, I don't know, with more consideration. So as humans, we're also pretty easily persuaded. There's another scientist, Robert Cialdini. He's got an Italian name, it's hard for me to pronounce. He identified these 7 levers of persuasion. Another hard one to pronounce for me, reciprocity. Like if somebody gives me a gift, then I'm sort of obligated to be nice to them. Let's see, consistency. Like if I've always done this, then of course I'm going to do it again. Social proof. If I don't know what's wrong or right, I'll just look around and whatever the others are doing, that's probably right. And unity, like I have an easier time trusting people who wear jeans and a hoodie and flip-flops because they're like me. So how on earth are we supposed to talk with these irrational, feeble-minded snowflakes called humans ourselves? Lazy, gullible, and utterly huggable. So this is explained in what the Arbinger Institute called the box model. If you are considering the somebody who you're communicating with as a problem to be solved, as a request to be filled, as something, you know, the stuff that comes in from Slack and it's burying you in everything, you tend to look at that somebody as an object, as a problem, and you're in the box. If you meet this person as a full human being with a context, with a life, with needs, with emotions, you're outside the box. And you're actually responding to what this person needs. And the trick here is that the brain quickly puts us in the box if we feel threatened. It's like if our status is that somebody's either above us or below us, or if we sort of need to show off in a way or two. We go in the box, and they're not a human. And here's the little kicker. We don't even realize when we're in the box. The brain fools us, tricks us. It's very good at this. I'm not sure why. So one way of getting outside the box is to listen. And I mean really listen. In Finland we say listen with both ears. So what's so hard about listening? I mean, we listen every day, right? Truth is, if we don't listen intently and intentionally to somebody, we probably retain about a third of what they said. It's tragic. So there are different listening levels. Level 0 is the sort of automatic listening, cosmetic listening, the yes dear listening, like if the radio is on over here and you're reading the news from actual paper or from a tablet, whatever, then you're not really listening. Level 1 listening is selective listening, but this is actually just to validate your preconceptions, your notions, your ideas, right? The user comes in, can I have this or that? Yeah, they want blah, 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 have that one, go, bye, ciao. And level 2 listening, factual listening. Now this is where you're ready to actually receive new information, even information that might not be what you're expecting. Are you ready for another one? There's level 3 listening. Empathic listening is taking the other's perspective into mind. Sort of standing in their shoes, understanding what their needs are. And there's even a level 4 listening. This is the guru level, boss level listening, which is the co-creative listening, which is like you're actually almost filling in each other's words and meanings. You're creating new understanding. Now, in your daily work, there's probably no need for co-creative listening with everybody. If you sort of balance between level 2 and level 3, erring on level 3, you're probably okay. Barry Carpenter is a wonderful security expert, and he has a podcast, 8th Layer Insights. If you're at all interested in these kind of things, listen to him. He has a few very bleak words on security design. right? With all this stuff on humans being irrational, or predictably irrational, if you try to work against human nature in your security design, you will fail. That's pretty bleak, so I rewrote it to say that succeed with security, right? You must design it to be compatible with humans. There'll be 2 more security maxims by Perry Carpenter, and they're equally bleak. Stay tuned. All right, finally about security then. Security is also a curious thing. Most of us, unless we actually work for a security company, we don't do security for its own sake. We do security to enable us to do business, current business, future business. So, I mean, while IT security isn't important in itself, it's a fundamental enabler of business itself. We can't do business without security and the predictability it brings to us. So, we need to make our workmates aware of a thing called security. It's called security awareness. It's a big business. The whole thing is like, it's a practice of making your workmates aware of security. What kind of security threats there are, maybe what to do about it. Now here's the problem. You might be the security expert in the room, but you might not be an expert communicator. You might have, suffered at a lecture where somebody obviously competent in something just isn't able to talk about that. Also, an expert may not remember how it was to be a beginner. You need to know your audience. You need to figure out what they need to hear, and when they need to hear it. There are different levels of security awareness, right? Sort of the minimum level is compliance. We do what we're told to do, milligrams 37. And that might be okay. We have an informed level, like people know what is expected of them. We have a secure behavior where people actually behave in a secure way because they know that this is the right thing to do. And even sort of the boss level again. It's a secure culture where you're able to talk and reflect about the ideas behind security. You can develop your security. Second maxim of Perry Carpenter, sorry to rain on your parade, is just because I'm aware doesn't mean I care. This is pretty sad. I couldn't even find a positive spin on this one. Those of you with teenagers know that no matter how much you tell them to clean their room, if they don't care, the room stays like it is. Or the dishes stay out of the dishwasher. Or I'm sure at least some of you have passed a speed limit sign on a highway and seen it more as a suggestion. So why is this important? This is the hard bit. Unless you seek blind compliance, you will have to tell your folks why something is important, and is in a way that resonates with your recipients, right? Your workmates, they probably have different motivations for security than you, so you need to speak their language. Some people may not care what we're asking them to do, but they might care why you want them to do it. To speak to their emotions. Use the persuasion levers from Robert Cialdini that I talked about earlier. But be careful about the scarcity lever, because that one is usually it just raises panic. And be very careful when using fear. Right? Fear is not a good motivator. Fear is the mind killer. Fear stops us from learning and thinking, but we can use fear. We can use fear to wake up our audience and then provide a solution to that. We can take a hint from storytelling. Many, actually most stories in Western culture start with some kind of a hero who's presented with a threat, The hero learns of a solution and saves the day with this newfound strength. And it's like it's how you present the thing. So security can be a superpower. You can have the one password to rule them all and one password to find them in a password manager. They need one of them, and suddenly they have unique secure passwords to every site they're ever going to need. Nice. Or it's like, we don't take the COVID vaccine because we fear COVID. We take the vaccine because we want to kick COVID's ass. Right? So give your workmates responsibility and give them agency. This is what we tell every new Reaktorian at work at the first day. We don't give them security policies, we give them security guidelines. Use your common sense and good judgment. Be diligent and careful, and ask if you don't know. And that's all. A bit like we tell them why we say these things. We trust you. You're an adult. You're a smart person. With great power comes great responsibility. We ask them to use System 2 thinking, to be considerate. And you're allowed not to know everything in the world. It's actually a good business choice to ask for advice. And we ask people to ask for advice, especially if they're not very sure what the right answer is or why. So this has a lot of beautiful implications. We don't have stupid users. We have users who might know different things than we do. We have coworkers who maybe are not informed yet, but they're not dumb. Otherwise, we wouldn't have recruited them. Security doesn't involve shame. We don't beat them down if they did something silly while trying to do something good. Intent counts, though this maybe counts for first-time violators only. If you keep doing the dumb thing, we're probably going to tell them in clearer words. We tell them that they have responsibility. Everybody is part of the security fabric. We try to make it easy and stress-free to report on security anomalies. And we understand that compassionate empathy is really, really, really a key thing for how we do this. Both when talking about security, but also after something might have happened. Because, I mean, at that stage, people are not going to be in their best mood. It's like, oh, what have I done? So be empathic and make it easy to do the right thing. Third maximum on the way, be prepared. Intention doesn't necessarily mean action. Just because I think I'll do doesn't mean I will. No, he'll say better in a moment. Barry Carpenter identified the knowledge, intention, behavior gap. And it goes something like this. What your employees know is less important than what they do. This goes a bit against what I said before. I mean, we think that it's all be nice and kind and whatever you intend is important. But truth is, their security behavior is what really counts. So, as a tool, I'm going to hit you with another piece of science, namely the fog behavior model. And it goes a little bit like this. Behavior, which is what we do, is a function of motivation, ability, and push. Or as Fogg puts it, a prompt, right? BJ Fogg is a social scientist, not a mathematician, so this graph will not be mathematically valid. But the idea is still, if the more motivated you do something, the harder things you can do. Or the other way around, the easier things you're presented with, the lower your motivation needs to be. But what's a prompt? The prompt is kind of the push. It's what causes you to take action. A prompt will succeed if what you're asked to do, if you're motivated enough to do what you're asked to do, if your abilities are up to snuff, and it'll fail if you don't have what it's needed. A prompt can be different things. A prompt can be like the nudge from your computer. It can be a Slack message. It can be like when you come to work, you put your computer by the desk, you plug in the power and the display and the orange cable, for the backup disk. Good, now you've done it. It's an automatic prompt. It becomes a habit. So, quick recap. Security is not just about IT. Humans are gullible, adorable, and weird. Humans respond to emotions by pushing their heads in the sand. No, humans respond to emotions by clouding their judgments and blocking their deep thinking. And compassion is really, really an important element of IT security. So security must be designed with humans in mind. And knowing about something is not caring about something, and it's not the same thing as actually doing it. So you must use security awareness and persuasion to come to secure behavior. Is this the end? No. But then you didn't think so, right? My final piece of science does come from Isaac Newton. Now, in his second law of thermodynamics, Newton stated that in a closed system, entropy will not decrease. Right? His example was that if you have one cold object and one hot object and you put them together, they will eventually be at the same temperature. It's like you have a hot cup of tea and you splash in some milk and you twirl around, and eventually the milk and the tea will have the same temperature. So a system with a lower entropy is ordered and easy to guess, and like bottles are in the same line like this, and pencils are straight at the table, and a system with high entropy is random and messy and looks like my table. Now, since no systems in the real world are actually closed systems, what Newton says is that in life, things get messier unless you do something about it. Or put as real life advice, left to themselves, things tend to go from bad to worse. So that's why my hair is thinning and my beard is going great, and I will forget things that I'm not reminded of. I don't know about your workmates who maybe don't have to think about their beards, but you need to take care of how they do security. So you need to remind them of security. The story never ends. So with these words, I ask you to spread the gospel of security awareness, and please make the world more secure. That's it. So we've got like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Minutes.
Questions, please.
A couple of questions. Anyone? It was very comprehensive, obviously. Nope.
The one to ask a good question will get a sticker. But there's not many left. And you probably want the sticker. If it's a really good question, you'll get one of the last seal of approvals in existence. I challenge thee. Say what?
I think you must have covered everything.
All right.
Immaculate detail. Thank you very much, Robin.
Thanks. So, details.